Good morning, friends. Now we are going to discuss about the anaerobic wastewater management. In the previous class, we have discussed about the wastewater treatment and what are the types. There are three types mainly: physical, biological, and chemical. In the physical type of wastewater treatment, we use the physical methods like sedimentation, filtration, flotation, grid chamber, etc. And for the biological treatment, there are mainly two methods, which is aerobic and anaerobic wastewater treatment. We have already discussed about the aerobic wastewater management, and now we are going to discuss about the anaerobic wastewater management. The anaerobic wastewater management is there are many types for the anaerobic wastewater treatment. The first one is the upflow anaerobic sludge blanket, UASBs. It is, as the name itself it suggests, that this type uses anaerobic bacteria, so it breaks down the organics in the wastewater without the use of oxygen, resulting with a combustible methane-bearing biogas treated effluent and anaerobic sludge. With the UASB systems, the general idea is that the wastewater are pumped into the base of the system, where the organics in the wastewater flow through the blanket of sludge before entering the upper gas solid separator, where collection hoods capture the biogas while allowing the suspended solids to settle and return to the lower reaction zone, while the cleaned effluents flow out of the top of the system. The biogas is either flared or used to generate steam or electricity for the other uses. The UASB process creates less sludge than aerobic biosystems and therefore needed to be cleaned out and emptied less than other biological treatment systems. But they require skilled operators to maintain optimal hydraulic and anaerobic conditions for UASBs to operate properly. Expanded granular sludge beds, or EGSBs, are a similar process. The EGSBs uses a stronger upward force to encourage more wastewater to sludge contact. These are the advantages and disadvantages of the UASB process. This is a picture as it suggests. The wastewater comes through this inlet, and the gas forms, and the biogas is released by this, and the sludge will form as the granules or as the granules, and the wastewater which is cleaned or cleared are let out through this outlet. Next is anaerobic digesters. They also uses the anaerobic bacteria to break down organic waste without oxygen and produce biogas, mostly for sewage treatment, and there are a variety of anaerobic digesters available. They each perform the same process in the slightly different ways. Examples include the covered lagoons, fixed film, suspended and submerged media, and continuous stirred tank reactors. Next is the oxidation pond. The oxidation ponds are also called as lagoons or stabilization ponds, are large, shallow ponds designed to treat wastewater through the interaction of the sunlight, bacteria, and algae. The algae grows using the energy from the sun and carbon dioxide and inorganic compounds released by the bacteria in the water. During the process of the photosynthesis, the algae release oxygen needed by the aerobic bacteria. Mechanical aerators are sometimes installed when there is less oxygen, and also reducing the required size of the pond. The sludge deposits in the pond must eventually be removed by the process of dredging. Algae remaining in the pond effluent can be removed by filtration or by a combination of chemical treatment and settling. The minimum depth of the water to be kept in the oxidation pond is 0.3 meter, and the depth of the sludge deposited in the pond is 0.02 meter per year. This is the picture of the aerobic means oxidation ponds. Here we can see this green color is the sludge produced, and sunlight comes, oxygen, as as the process we discussed. Next is the chemical water treatment. As the name suggests, this treatment involves the use of chemicals in the water. Chlorine and oxidizing chemical is the most commonly used chemical to kill the bacteria, which decomposes water by adding contaminants to it. Specialized chemical like chlorine, hydrogen peroxide, sodium chloride, and sodium hypochlorite, it's also called as bleach, act as agents that disinfect, sanitize, and assist in the purification of wastewater at treatment facilities. The another oxidizing agent used for purifying the wastewater is the ozone. Neutralization is a technique when an acid or base is added to bring the water to its natural pH of 7. The chemicals prevent the bacteria from reproducing in the water, thus making the water pure. There are several distinct chemical units processes, including the chemical coagulation, chemical precipitation, chemical oxidation, and advanced oxidation, or ion exchange, chemical neutralization and stabilization, which can be applied to the wastewater during cleaning. First is the neutralization. The neutralization involves the addition of chemicals for the purpose of adjusting the pH of the wastewater. This involves the addition of acids to lower the pH or alkalis to raise the pH depending on the initial pH of the influent, that is the wastewater. Next is the chemical precipitation. The chemical precipitation is the most common method for removing the dissolved metal from the wastewater solution containing toxic metals. To convert the dissolved metals into a solid particle form, a precipitation reagent is added to the mixture. A chemical reaction triggered by this reagent causes the dissolved metals to form a solid particles. Filtration can then be used to remove these solid particles from the mixture. How well the process works is dependent upon the kind of the metal present in the wastewater, the concentration of the metal, and the kind of reagent used. In hydroxide precipitation, a commonly used chemical precipitation process, calcium or sodium hydroxide is used as the reagent to create the solid metal hydroxides. However, this can be difficult to create the hydroxides from dissolved metal particles in wastewater because many wastewater solutions contain a mixture of many metals. Next is the chemical coagulation. This chemical process involves destabilizing the wastewater particles so that they aggregate during chemical flocculation. Fine solid particles dispersed in the wastewater carry a negative electric surface charges, which prevent them from forming larger groups and settling. Chemical coagulation destabilizes these particles by introducing positively charged coagulants that then reduce the negative particles' charge. Once the charge is reduced, the particles freely form larger groups. Next, an anionic flocculant is introduced into the mixture. Because the flocculant reacts against the positively charged mixture, it either neutralizes the particle group or creates bridges between them to bind the particles into the larger groups. After the larger particles groups are formed, sedimentation can be used to remove the particles from the mixture. The next is chemical oxidation or reduction and advanced oxidation. With the introduction of an oxidizing agent during chemical oxidation, electrons move from the oxidant to the pollutants in the wastewater. The pollutant then undergo structural modification, becoming less destructive compounds. The alkaline chlorination uses chlorine as an oxidant against the cyanide. However, alkaline chlorination as a chemical oxidation process can lead to the creation of many toxic chlorinated compounds and additional steps may be required. So, advanced oxidation can help remove any organic compounds that are produced as a byproduct of chemical oxidation through processes such as steam stripping, air stripping, or activated carbon absorption. The redox reactions are used for the treatment of the potable water. Of chlorinated hydrocarbons and pesticides can be effectively removed from wastewater by the use of ozone and hydrogen peroxide treatments. Advanced oxidation processes are also used for the degradation of drug substances like antibiotics or cytostatic drugs that may be found in the water. Reduction processes can also be used for the transformation of heavy metal ions into sulfides. Next method is the ion exchange. When the water is too hard, it is difficult to use to clean and often leaves a grey residue. That is why the clothes washed in the hard water often retains a dingy tint color. An ion exchange process similar to the reverse osmosis process can be used to soften the water. Calcium and magnesium are common ions that lead to water hardness. So to soften the water, positively charged sodium ions are introduced in the form of dissolved sodium chloride, salt or brine. Hard calcium and magnesium ions exchange places with the sodium ions, and free sodium ions are simply released in the water. However, after softening a large amount of water, the softening solution may fill with excess calcium and magnesium ions, requiring the solution to be recharged with the sodium ions. Next is the adsorption and chemisorption. Adsorption is a process whereby substance accumulates on the surface of a solid body due to van der Waals force. This process is a physical one. When the same thing happens as a result of any chemical bond, the process is called as chemisorption. In this wastewater treatment, activated carbons are often used to bind to soluble elements in the water which were unable to be removed in the earlier stages of the treatment process, such as mechanical or biological. Colorants from textile dyeing, pharmaceutical residues, arsenic, and heavy metals are examples of substances that can be effectively removed through this process. Next is the precipitation. The chemical process of the precipitation involves the addition of suitable agents to the wastewater which can transform the dissolved substance to one that are not easily soluble. With this transformation, the material precipitates and lower the concentration of the material. So the heavy metals, so by this method, the heavy metals can precipitate as metal hydroxides, and anions can precipitate as calcium ion, iron or aluminum salts for the example. Next is the flocculation. Flocculation uses flocculants to help remove very fine particles from wastewater that would not normally accumulate as larger agglomerates as a result of their electrical repulsion from having an identical charge. By adding specialty chemicals, larger formulations of particles will occur which will then settle out in a sedimentation process. Next is the chemical stabilization. This chemical wastewater treatment process works in a similar fashion as the chemical oxidation. Sludge is treated with a large amount of given oxidant such as chlorine. The introduction of the oxidant slows down the rate of biological growth within the sludge and helps deodorize the mixture. The water is then removed from the sludge. The hydrogen peroxide can also be used as an oxidant and may be more cost effective choice. This is the overall description of this chemical, physical and the biological. In the preliminary treatment, the removal of large solids such as rags, sticks, that is the physical. The process involved is the physical process. In the primary, removal of floating and settleable materials such as suspendable solids and organic materials are used in the primary. So in this process, physical and chemical methods are used. Like that in the secondary, removal of biodegradable organic matter are, and suspended solids are removed. So this involves the biological and chemical processes. The last tertiary or advanced stage involve the removal of residual suspended solids dissolved or the dissolved solids. This involve the physical, chemical and biological treatments. This is the overall picture of this wastewater treatment, that is primary, secondary, tertiary and last the sludge disposal. Uh, so hope you all understood my presentation. Thank you.